Now that we have PyCharm opened up, let's explore the UI a little bit and get familiar with it. So first of all, what we're going to do is create a new project, and this is just what PyCharm uses and views with your structure of your code. So we could have a project dedicated to certain purposes. We might have a project for writing project A, and we'll have a different project for project B. We could also just open up Python files in here and edit them. But what we're going to do is open a new project. By the way, if you'd like to take a tour, you could start a tour of PyCharm, get a little bit more familiar with it that way as well. I'm going to click New Project. And what we see here, we can give it a name. So let's just name this Test PyCharm. And we can create a location for that. We're going to just use the default here. It will create a PyCharm projects folder and put our test PyCharm folder in there. Our interpreter type, this will create a virtual environment, which we'll get more familiar with later in the course, but it detects that I already have Python installed. So it's going to use that in PyCharm's virtual environment. In other words, PyCharm will interact with the Python version we have installed and use that to run our code. So let's click Create. And it's creating that virtual environment. It's creating that local Python environment with the version that we have installed on our system. So here we now have a folder hierarchy, our test PyCharm folder that we just created, some other folders that we don't need to pay any attention to for now. But under this main folder, we can create our code. So we'll do that here in a minute. But I wanted to show you what's here. Well, let's actually create a new file. So I right-clicked on this folder, as you see, and I'm saying New Python file. Let's give it a name. That'll be test.py. Okay, so this main area is where we write our code. See, I'm just writing Python code here. And if we look down here, we've got some toolbars. The one I want you to get familiar with for now is the terminal. So I'm going to click that to open it up. And this is a space down here that is similar to if we had a terminal open, where we can type Python and then the name of our file, and it will run our code. We've been doing a lot of that in the course up to this point. So this will come in handy, and we can interact with our code in this way. The user inputs would be in this terminal, for example. So if I say print hello, and then I want to say input equals input, enter some text, please. Then let's go up here to the right. We see selected is our current file. Sometimes you have to be sure that's selected, or it will run another file that you're not intending. We've selected the current file, this test.py, and we can click this play button to actually run it. That will run our code. So if I click play, we see down here in this terminal now, enter some text please, and it printed hello. So the terminal is a way to view our output and enter inputs as a user. Okay, so then our code finished running. Another area which we have kind of highlighted is just this folder hierarchy. That's our project. So if we ever end up clicking on another thing, we can come back to this folder icon and find our project right there. And find our files and click on our file, test.py, to edit it, for example. So in a nutshell, that's what I'd like you to get, get familiar with for now, for this video, where we write code, where we can look at the file structure that we're in, and our terminal, which is where we could execute code or view things. So if I'm here, I could type Python and test.py, and it runs our code like that in the terminal. Hello. So I misspoke a little bit earlier. When we actually hit our run button, that actually goes to this run space. So either from the terminal, we could run our text, or from this run space. I recommend most of the time clicking these buttons up here. It's just easier to interact with. Then if we click stopped, we'll terminate our program and it finishes. So again, that's just a brief overview of some of the spaces in PyCharm and how we can actually start writing code.